Welcome to Talkin Ball. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Gerry Hamilton. It's time for this episode, brought to you by Dr. Brett Robin, the former Longhorn football player, now an orthopedic at Austin Orthopedic Institute. Gerry, we're going to talk about the high-level defense, the matchup between two really good defenses coming up this weekend with the Longhorns and the Florida Gators going at it. Going to talk a little bit about what Sark said about those defenses at his press conference earlier today, and then also some injury updates overall as well. Again, this episode brought to you by our friend, Dr. Brett Robin. All right, Gerry, let's start with that high-level defense. Steve Sarkisian really said the Florida defense has been playing really, really well. The numbers back that up.
Yeah.
Florida's played three really good ball clubs in LSU, Miami, as well as South Florida. And frankly, the numbers stack up. They are 22nd in the country in yards allowed per game at 284. That's pretty salty numbers for a team that's played the schedule they've played to date.
Yeah, and once you dive into those games, Florida's defense is really impressive to me because the offense is sputtered, maybe putting it nicely. I mean, at LSU, 5 interceptions. At Miami, nothing. And so the defense has been put in bad situations and has had to carry the team and keep the team in the games. And South Florida is a physical game in Gainesville, but those are 2 road games as well. And for this defense to rank in the top 10 in the country in a number of categories on the schedule they've played, there aren't many teams that have played that good a schedule thus far in the season. So what they've done, considering the injuries too, which we'll get into a little bit later, makes it even more impressive. And the thing about it, Bobby, is I don't think you can put up those types of numbers if you aren't playing good defense on all 3 levels against the competition they face. I don't think they've had a glaring weak spot, else it would get exposed. And they just haven't truly been exposed.
Couple of the numbers that come in, Gerry, they are in the top 10, along with Texas in several defensive categories. Yeah. One of them that you and I were talking about prior to discussing the show, Texas, number 2 in the country right now in third down defense. University of Texas, third down defense. Florida, number 7 in the country. And that is, again, against a much tougher slate, in my opinion, than what Texas has played to this point. So that gives you a sense that Florida is dramatically improved year over year. Look, they're allowing right now right at 13 points a game. They averaged giving up 28 a game a year ago, Gerry. We'll see if that trend stays the way it is when they played Texas and the like and the rest of the SEC schedule. But still, it's a good number or a good way to show that Florida is a different defense than gave up 40 plus to Texas in the first half a year ago.
And look, they faced 3 real quarterbacks. The kid at South Florida is having a good year. Now he's a bigger guy, more physical guy. But look, no matter how Garrett Nussmeier played against Ole Miss, no matter what Carson Beck does the rest of the year, those 2 guys are experienced high major quarterbacks that have played on really good teams. So, and guys that are going to play in the NFL on some level more than likely. So this Florida defense has played quality quarterbacks, guys that can throw the ball down the field, and a guy in South Florida, a guy that can move with a big body and throw. So they've been challenged in different ways, different offensive schemes, all that LSU speed they had on the perimeter with the receivers and then Caden Durham. This defense has been truly tested in a lot of ways. And again, the fact that they've held up like they have, Bobby, despite the injuries on their defensive front, which we're going to get into, makes it even more impressive to me. And I'm not trying to tell people bet the under here, but maybe you bet the under on this game.
I would say this. I mean, another area where Texas and Florida are very, very good is third down defense. Yeah. And what's interesting is, conversely, their offenses aren't very good on third down. Texas and Florida's offense, both of them rank in the 100s on third down conversion, but their defenses both rank in the top 10, I believe, on third down conversions against the opposing offenses. Texas at 23.6, I think, is 1 or 2 in the country. Florida at 32.8. So both defenses really, really strong. That's why Steve Sarkisian said what he did. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're going to be watching this game from that standpoint. That being said, one of the things that Sark did mention, he felt like his offense really woke up a little bit. He said that as much in his press conference earlier today, Jerry. Arch Manning then went to the microphone, said, hey, I think we're building on some things. Sark specifically said, hey, I'm not holding anything back, but I feel like the foundation now is there for us to kind of figure out how we're going to call these games, which I think is interesting because he's saying he didn't hold anything back, but at the same time, he's saying, we've got the foundation now. I listened to the press conference from all of those guys, whether it was Ryan Wingo, Hero Canoe, Parker Livingston. Your thoughts on what Sark had to say as it relates to play calling coming up against the Gators?
Well, I'm going to give this to Wink. He hadn't held anything back. I think that was pretty good coach speak there on the Monday of game week against Florida. But look, I think one of the big things with Sark and talking about the Florida defense, they know first down offense is going to be almost the key Saturday without, and he didn't come out and say it, but any team that's good on third downs defensively, the key is to get in the third and shorts.
Yes.
Get as many third and shorts as you can. And what Texas can't do, and here's where Texas hasn't been tested since Ohio State. The one thing Texas can't do is help a good defense with penalties pre-snap. And anytime it's the second and short penalties, the third and short penalties. I think that is one of the things that Sark will be preaching to these guys all week, Bobby, is look, we're playing a really good defense. We have to limit our mistakes and our self-inflicted wounds and not help a defense that's already really good. We have to play really sound and good on first downs and get ourselves to some third and shorts, enough third and shorts, third and manageables in an environment that's going to be really tough to play in. The defense is carrying the team. And Arch is on the road again, right? This Texas offense is on the road for a second time. But I really do think the key in this game is going to be first down offense for Texas. Because if you get behind the chains against a defense like this with the home crowd behind them that really wants to see Arch Manning get beat up by the Gators, this game takes a different tone and a different look. The way you keep this crowd a little bit out of it, unless they're booing Billy Napier, is to move chains and get first downs and have first down success. I really think first down is going to be the key down for Texas offensively in this game.
All right. We'll talk more about that game, including the injuries discussion that Jerry mentioned previously in just a second. But first, we want to say thank you to our sponsor. That's Dr. Brett Robin. He sponsors every episode of Talkin Ball at the Austin Orthopedic Institute. Dr. Robin, the former Longhorn running back, knows what it takes to stay in the game. He's here for athletes of all ages. Specializing in musculoskeletal health, Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach first, but he also offers advanced surgical options, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, and even total joint replacements if called upon. With convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen, Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. If you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic, give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. Get back to the active lifestyle that you love. Go and check out Dr. Brett Robin, 512-856-1000. All right, Jerry, first on the Texas injuries, and then we'll talk a little bit about Florida's. Steve Sarkisian played a little possum in the injury discussion today at his press conference. He said, we'll wait until Wednesday to give our report, which is mandatory now by the Southeastern Conference. So that's obvious. We are monitoring the two running backs, both C.J. Baxter and Trey Wisner. We are hearing that we're waiting to see exactly what comes of it with those two. He was asked specifically about Emmett Mosley. So was Arch Manning. So was Ryan Wingo. All three of them kind of gave that, well, we'll see if he plays. He is back at practice. We know that. But they were all tight-lipped about injuries today. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like Sark called in all the guys in the office that were going to speak, and everybody has the same answer, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think that's where it's at. But look, the fact that Emmett Mosley's been practicing, Cole Hudson obviously is better. I think offensively for Texas, it's about as healthy as they've been all year. I think that's the thing is it's about as healthy as they've been all year. Does that mean every guy's playing? It doesn't. But we got to remember, we went to the Horseshoe, and Emmett Mosley didn't touch the field, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's the key. He didn't even touch the field. So this offense is probably as healthy as it's been all season, and we'll see what comes out of this. But I also think that what'll be interesting about the injuries on offense is, Emmett Mosley has a lot of experience starting 8 games of Power 4 football, right? 48 catches for over 500 yards. His injury has given Parker Livingston a chance to get ready because he had no game experience.
Right.
That's given him an opportunity to get ready. Also, with Trey Wisner missing time and then C.J. Baxter missing Sam Houston, it's given Christian Clark more extended action, Jarrett Gibson, and the freshman James Simon. I think Texas has got – and Cole Hudson missed the last game, so Connor Robertson started at center. So I think Texas has got some questions answered on some of their key pieces that need to play roles on this team, and has given them an opportunity to kind of figure out the pecking order and how these things are looking for Texas at certain positions while also getting healthier. That's a good place to be. The only negative I see right now is Emmett Mosley just hasn't played in the Texas uniform. So you wish he'd played one game prior to this, but I think Texas offense is about as healthy as they can be going into Game 5.
It's very funny. Ryan Wingo was asked, how can Emmett Mosley help the team? And they tried to trap him into the answer. Well, if he plays, I think he's a really good outside blocker on the perimeter.
Yeah.
So they were all very in tune with what was going on today in that regard. Let's talk a little bit about the flip side of that. In Florida's injuries, beat up on the defensive line a little, but they've got a lot of guys there. They're very deep, just like Texas. And then also in the secondary, they got some issues. And they might get back a big play guy on the outside on offense in Dallas Wilson as well.
Yeah, defense is the concern injury-wise. And it's even more impressive how they've played because Caleb Banks hasn't really played much this year, and he's out expected to be out Saturday and for an extended period of time. We'll wait for the official injury report. His backup injured a right knee against Miami on that first attempted goal line stand in the fourth quarter. Will he be available? Michael Borneau, the big 6'5", 355-pound nose guard, hasn't played much this year. Will he be available? George Gums, the transfer edge rusher, didn't play much against Miami. Will he be available? And then Dijon Johnson, one of their best corners, he hurt his knee against Miami and has been ruled out for the season. So they're dealing with a lot of injuries. The Texas defense is not dealing with anything like that. Alex January should be back this week. The Florida defense is missing a guy in Caleb Banks who was a projected first or second round pick before the season, right? I mean, that's a big loss. I don't care how talented you are. And Florida, they play a 3-3-5 type of look with too high. Those nose guards are really big in their system. Keith Niebuhr from Gators Online talked about that last week. Remember that 450-pound Desmond Watson last year? Well, what do they look like if they're having to play a little smaller on their defensive front than they ideally want to? Could that give Texas the ability to run the football more against a little bit smaller 3-man front? When I say smaller, 310 instead of 360, right, Bob?
Yeah, yeah, it's all relative. Yeah,
right, it's all relative. But Florida's definitely having to move some parts around and figure out their defense, similar to what Sark's had to do offensively a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jerry, what about the offense? Dallas Wilson expected back still, we believe. The freshman that had, 11 or 12 catches in the spring game. He's a wide receiver for the Gators. Is that correct?
The guy from Tampa that Texas tried really hard to flip from Oregon, then ended up signing with Florida. Dallas Wilson was a 5-star receiver in the last class. I saw him in person once. He is a good-looking cat. Now, he can really run. He can really accelerate for a guy who's 6'4", 205. He's got acceleration at that size. I mean, he fits in the grouping with the Cam Colemans of the world, right? He's a different class, but that's kind of the type of talent he is. And if they get him back again, how much can he really play? Coming off that injury, it's kind of like Emmett Mosley. He hadn't played all year. Now, this kid hadn't played a game in college football. And they already have J. Michael Sturdivant, who has a lot of college football experience, who can really run. Obviously, Vernell Brown, the other freshman receiver, looks like a future star. And Eugene Wilson's battled injuries throughout his career, but it's a really good one, healthy in the slot. So you had a fourth guy to that, and suddenly you have size on the outside and multiplicity. You have a guy in Vernell Brown who can do something after the catch, and you have a slot receiver who can really create separation. Key there is, can DJ Lagway get them the ball with any timing? But Dallas Wilson would be a big addition to this Florida offense. I don't know how much it helps them against Texas, but down the line, he's going to be a huge addition.
Just one last thing on this game before we let you go, and we're going to have wall-to-wall coverage of Texas this week, obviously playing Florida. But one thing I wanted to mention that we brought up on Coffee and Football this morning, it looks like it's going to be really a wet game. Rain expected all week in Gainesville. We'll see if that affects Texas or Florida more. It is truly potentially a swamp.
Yeah,
down in Gainesville. All right, one last thing before we let folks go. Recruiting note, big one coming tomorrow from a basketball perspective.
Yeah, Bo Ogden, son of Texas GM Chris Ogden, Bo's a 6'5.5" guard wing from Austin Westlake. Has become one of the top 40 prospects in the country in the 26 class. He's set to announce his decision tomorrow, Tuesday at 1 p.m. at Austin Westlake. We'll have coverage of that. Texas, Purdue, Tennessee, the three finalists, the three official visits. He was at Texas last weekend. Obviously, there's a lot of Texas flavor with this recruitment, but we'll wait to see what Bo Ogden says. But it's possible, we'll see what he says, that he could be the first 2026 commitment for Sean Miller at Texas. Texas also is in a pretty good spot with Austin Gooseby, the younger brother of Trevor Gooseby. He will not announce until October between Texas, Duke, BYU, Baylor, and Miami.
Oh, interesting. All right. Want to say thank you to you, Jerry, as well as to Dr. Brett Robin. Again, that number is 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. I had an actual compliment of a guy came up to me and said that their aunt had went to see Dr. Robin and got all taken care of. All right, that'll do it for Talkin Ball. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, Jerry, on Coffee and Football. The guys will have a show later tonight. Rod Baber, CJ Vogel, and Coach Bob Shipley coming around 7:15. For Jerry, I'm Bobby. You guys have a good one. Hook 'em.